Tuesday morning, NASCAR announced the nominees for the Hall of Fame class of 2026. With Carl Edwards and Ricky Rudd recently getting inducted, two new nominees have been added to the modern era ballot. That is Kurt Busch and Randy LaJoie. Now, Busch was the 2004 Cup Series champion and became the first driver to win a championship in the playoff era. It was called the Chase, of course, back then. He also won 34 Cup Series races, including the 2017 Daytona 500, and won multiple races in the Xfinity and Truck Series throughout his career. LaJoie, the father of current Cup Series competitor Corey LaJoie, won back-to-back Xfinity Series championships in 1996 and 1997, with 15 career series victories in 350 starts. The older LaJoie, I like how that's been put, was also the 1985 Busch North Series champion, and he's known today for his commitment to safety in motorsports with his business that focuses on building race seats. Busch and LaJoie join returning nominees, of course, of Greg Biffle, Neil Bonnet, Tim Brewer, Jeff Burton, Randy Dorton, Harry Gant, Harry Hyde, and Jack Sprague. Now, both graphics in this section are courtesy of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Matt's with me on this bit as well. In your opinion, Matt, should Kurt Busch be a lock as a first ballot Hall of Famer? And are you surprised that Randy LaJoie was added to the list?
Let's take Kurt Busch first. Lock, I don't know. There's a bit of could go either way, couldn't it? You could look at it one way and go, it absolutely has to go in. Multiple winner, crown jewel wins, champion, longevity as a Cup Series, front runner for all that time. Had some things going on, off the racetrack that may not be on the beneficial side of him perhaps being a lock, if that's taken into consideration. I don't know. But I don't know. Of that list, I think he's probably going to be one of them. There's been a few of these, hasn't there, over the last couple of years, where as soon as someone gets on the list, they just bypass everybody else and go straight in. As we saw with a bit with Carl Edwards last year. So I think probably I would I don't know what I would do. I think that the vote would probably go with Kurt, but I wouldn't. I would like not to see some of these guys that have been on the list for a long time and not got in yet, or some of the older generation people, stay on the list and get forgotten about. If you know what I mean, we can't keep adding the more modern era people like Greg Biffles, like Kurt Busch's to the list and then going straight in. Randy LaJoie, for what he accomplished over his career across all of the national series, you probably say he is befitting of being on the list. Whether he'll go in, though, I'm probably not sure from what we've got there. But of those two in the question, Josh, I would say it's going to be. I probably wouldn't vote for Kurt Busch, but I think the majority of people that have got a chance to vote probably will.
Yes, and if we can take a look at that graphic again, please, we can clarify. With Ralph Moody going into the Hall of Fame a few months ago, crew chief Jake Elder has replaced him as a nominee on the Pioneer era ballot. Now, Elder has a resume that includes 3 Cup Series titles and 44 race wins. He earned the nickname Suitcase Jake as well, because he never stayed with one team for a long period of time. But he was still able to find plenty of success regardless of where he went. Elder joins returning nominees, of course, of Ray Hendrick, Banjo Matthews, Larry Phillips, and Bob Welborn. Now, taking a look at the landmark nominees, we get Humphrey Wheeler joins the list. That includes Alvin Hawkins, Lisa Franz Kennedy, and Dr. Joseph Mattioli. And Les Richer comes in too. Wheeler was the president and general manager at Charlotte Motor Speedway, who was one of the most ambitious and well-known race promoters in NASCAR history. Many people know him best for his work on the 1992 All-Star race, better known as one hot night, Wheeler focused on innovative ways to promote races and improve the fan experience at the track. Ben's back with us on this bit as well. So, Ben, which nominee's backstory is the most interesting to you? Suitcase Jake for constantly switching teams and still finding a high level of success, or Wheeler's ambitious personality for pushing forward the first night race on a super speedway when everyone thought it was a crazy idea at the time?
Yeah, I think they're both very interesting. Side note, if you want my thoughts on the modern era ballot, I know Brandon and I talked about that on the Encore show Monday night, so you can go get my thoughts on that from the clip from that show a couple nights ago there. But in terms of the Pioneer ballot, I said, of course, I will still advocate for Larry Phillips because to Matt's point about Randy LaJoie, I do think we need some lower series weekly racing kind of representation in the Hall of Fame, because I say this every year. It's not the Cup Hall of Fame, it's the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So you have a Randy LaJoie, a two-time Xfinity Series champion. I think he absolutely is deserving of being on that ballot. And Larry Phillips, I think, has had to compete against some deserving pioneers the last couple of years here. And, maybe that's why he's still on the ballot and waiting for his turn to go in. But, there's some great nominees here on this list still. It's the problem with how we do it now. It's frustrating to only put 3 in per year, because I understand what they were trying to do, make sure at least one pioneer gets in every year, but you limit it to one, then we have all these names that we think have Hall of Fame resumes that should be in by now, but we can only put 1 in a year. I think it's a slower process than I would like. I could see a strong case being made for any one of these names, but Jake Elder obviously has a very strong case in his own right. Obviously, multiple championships and race wins totaling up in the mid 40s as a crew chief is a very impressive resume. And I think we need more crew chief representation in the Hall of Fame as well. That's why I was so excited to see Kirk Shelmerdine go in a couple of years ago also. But looking at Humpy Wheeler here, I think, very fitting resume for the Landmark Award. And I think it's great that we have a Landmark Award for names that maybe don't have a Hall of Fame resume as a whole, but you look at them in terms of their contributions to the sport in different areas that don't necessarily fit competing with the legends, drivers and crew chiefs of the world. Maybe working in more executive roles like this. I think Humpy Wheeler absolutely, is worthy of consideration for this award. And, obviously night race on a super speedway may have been a crazy idea 30, 35 years ago, but now, of course, so many tracks have lighting systems surrounding them, and it's part of the sport, so many places that we go to on the schedule today. So I think that, I don't know. I mean, looking at the entire list of nominees, it's much harder to predict. I do agree with Matt's point. I think Kurt Busch will get in. I think he has the strongest resume of all of them, as I was saying on Monday night. And I think it might be a toss-up from there. I think Neil Bonnet, Harry Gant have some very strong resumes here. But looking at the Pioneer and the Landmark, I would fully endorse either of these guys going in here for the class of 2026. I think they both have tremendous stories. But then again, so do a lot of names they're competing against. So it's going to be interesting to see how the voters decide to look at these ballots here.
Yeah, not much more to add really from what Ben said. You said about the night racing stuff. It was a far-fetched idea, as you say, however many years ago, and now pretty much a quarter to half the schedule is run with lights or into the darkness in some cases. So, I guess NASCAR to some degree kind of pioneered the night racing thing around the world that we see now in Formula One and other things, MotoGP as such. So I don't know, that could be part of it in terms of general motorsport kind of play, but not much more to. I mean, you're clearly more up with the sort of history side of the sport, Ben. I'm only what I would call a modern fan from 2007 onwards, so some of these names are a little bit before my time.
Yeah, well, that's the first year I started watching myself, but I do love the Hall of Fame, love the history there. I've been to Charlotte, North Carolina to go to the Hall of Fame. Totally recommend it for anybody that has the opportunity to go, because as critical as I can be of NASCAR today in the 2020s, I will tell you that I still have a deep appreciation for what this sport is at its core and the foundation that it was built upon. So, you're walking through history when you go there. So if you have the chance, absolutely. Go check it out for sure. Can't recommend it enough.
If I had a ballot, my picks would be Harry Gant, Neil Bonnet, and Jake Elder. By the way, I do remember that Busch North series. I called Jake Jack earlier by mistake. I'm not reading my glasses correctly. I'm sorry if I did. Saw Randy compete at New Hampshire Motor Speedway back in the day as well. It's a shame what happened to New Hampshire. Denver says as well, with the ballot, it would be Neil Bonnet, Greg Biffle, and Kurt Busch coming in as well.
You can only pick 2 of those, though, because they're all modern era names. So you got to take one out and put a Pioneer on.
So daft how it works out. NASCAR should put NASCAR legacy events in the Hall of Fame, like the Daytona 500, Brickyard 400, and Coke 600 in the Hall of Fame. Well, I would add to that, you've got to include like North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray, if you want to do classic track events as history of the sport. You've got even Darlington. Humphrey Wheeler should be the lock here as well, says Matthew Owens, our oracle of motorsport knowledge as well. So as that is the case as well.